It gets dark about 50% of the time in America, and I guess everywhere else in the world. It gets dark sometimes. Let's talk about flashlights.
What do I do?
Howdy everyone, Chase and Garrett here from Silencer Shop, and today we're joined by Andrew from Surefire, so he can walk us through why you need to equip your rifle or pistol with a weapon light. I think most people these days are on board with getting optics and silencers on their guns, but it seems like flashlights are kind of a secondary thought. People aren't thinking about that. So why would you want to set up your guns with illumination?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people have firearms for home defense or defensive purposes in general, whether it's concealed carry or your property. Half the time it's dark out, and to engage something with lethal force, you need to be able to positively ID it before you're gonna do that. The best way to do it is with a weapon light. We make handheld lights as well. They're a super awesome option, but shooting accurately, recoil control, manipulations, if you have to do any reloads, all that stuff's more difficult when you have a flashlight in one hand. And so obviously the better way to do it is to mount the light to the firearm.
Yep, keep the light on the gun. You're never without it. So if you do have to pick up that gun in a hurry or whatever, you're not searching around for your light. And obviously one of the core tenets of firearm safety is you have to know what we're shooting at. To do that, we have to be able to see what we're shooting at.
Absolutely.
So a light helps out a lot with that.
And it obviously being attached to your weapon makes it less likely that you're going to forget it in your range bag. So it's always on, always just ready to go.
Yeah, all you got to do is make sure that you're keeping your batteries charged or fresh and swapped out, and you're good to go. If we're going to start with looking at a rifle, obviously we have a few rifle lights in front of us.
Yep.
What do you think about when you're setting up your gun with one of the Surefire rifle lights?
Yeah, so we have our long gun weapon lights are called our Scout Light Pro series now. The Scout Light, format of lights have been out for decades now, and they're kind of the gold standard in long gun weapon lights. We have a bunch of different options. Where I would start with is, what size. So if it's like a PDW, obviously you're gonna want a much smaller light. We have our Mini Scout series for that reason specifically. But even on SBRs and longer AR platforms, I'd recommend one of our 6-volt Scout lights, just because typically it helps push the beam pattern out a little bit further, so you're not getting as much barrel shadow, especially if you're running silencers. And then it has a swiveling mount that you can lock down, and that means no matter what you're putting it on, AK, SCAR, AR, whatever, you can get it as close to the gun as possible and not have it hanging off and, huge snag factor. Also, it enables you to put it right where it's easy to activate.
With these Scout lights, it's going to come with either a Picatinny if you want to put that on the top rail. They also include an M-lock, so you can use that on any of the 3, 6, or 9 o'clock M-lock slots, so you're ready to set up your rifle no matter what mounting system you have right out of the box with the Surefire Scout lights.
So generally speaking, the smaller the gun, the smaller the weapon light.
Yeah, I think that's a good rule of thumb. Obviously, you can put a big light on a small gun if you'd like.
Yeah.
But we have different size options for different applications. I think the next thing would be beam patterns. So we make what we call the Turbo Series, a narrow, far-reaching beam pattern. It's meant to be high Candela. It's that light right there. Been super popular lately on the tactical side of the house, especially with domestic law enforcement. They like it for positively IDing people at further distances and also punching through tinted windows. So if you have a big piece of property, that's definitely an awesome light. The standard Scout Light series, they ship with what we call a hybrid beam pattern. A good hot spot in the middle, but still a good surrounding flood. So it's not gonna go nearly as far as our Turbo series, but it's gonna have a much wider beam pattern. So if you only are concerned with inside of a house or a smaller property, then that's a really good option as well. You're gonna get a little more peripheral.
You have to think about whether you're going to be trying to light up a room or trying to punch out and see 300-400 yards away. The light that you're choosing for that might be a little bit different.
Yeah, indoor versus outdoor application.
100%. And then another consideration, I'm sure as you guys know, more and more people are getting into night vision. We have our Vampire series, which is that one on the end there. We make mini versions as well as full-size versions of that. And that's a simple twist head where you can go from a white light to an IR output. So if you want an IR illuminator, that's a really clean way to do it.
And when we're setting up the light on the gun, where do you stand on, should the light be on the same side as your support hand, opposite side? Do you have a preference, or what should people be thinking about when they're actually setting up their ARs with one of these lights?
So on which side of the gun is kind of a dealer's choice. The main thing I would say is make sure it doesn't impede the general use of the platform to begin with. And so what I recommend is people grip the rifle with how you're gonna shoot the gun before you even mount the weapon light to it. And then I take a pencil and I put where my hand is on the forend, and then I'm going to put that weapon light around my hand, so it's in a place that's not obstructing the ability to, control and shoot the gun. Generally speaking, so if I'm a right-handed shooter, the weapon light without a pressure switch, I'll put it on the top left just because it's a little easier to activate. But if you're running night vision devices with lasers on the top, that's when you want to start maybe bumping the light down to the lower part of the rail and then using a remote pressure switch to activate it so the light's not in the way of your laser. We just launched our CSM and our CSP switches. That's an M-LOK and Picatinny compact pressure switch. So the M-LOK version you can mount to any of those offset positions and your thumb can just sit on it and comfortably activate it. For me, if I'm not running a night vision device, I do like it at the 12 o'clock, but I grip the rifle like this. I go all the way around it. And so for me, my thumb kind of sits on the top rail anyways. I prefer it that way, but there's no wrong way. Whatever's the best way for how you normally grip and best shoot your rifle. I would just put the switch in close proximity. Maybe not with your thumb resting on it because you don't want to have like a negligent discharge of the white light.
Turn the light off!
What about handguns? Because obviously, like back in the day, everyone's seen the old cop movies whenever someone would have a handgun in their hand and then they would just kind of go like this. Obviously, that's not optimal for controlling the recoil, so that's whenever pistol weapon lights come in. What can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so we make a whole bunch of different handgun weapon lights. The X300 is our gold standard handgun weapon light. Any top line law enforcement, military unit, these are the go-to outside the waistband weapon lights. And what I mean by that is it's powered by two CR123s that are side by side. So it is somewhat fatter than the firearm, which is not a problem if you're outside the waistband retention type of a holster. But for concealability, it might not be the best option. So we have a whole bunch of other concealable weapon lights. We just launched our XR1 and our XR2, which is a rechargeable concealable weapon light. You can see it here on this Glock 19 where it's not wider than the frame of the gun. It's not longer than the slide of the gun. So as far as concealability goes, it doesn't really add anything to it, but that's still super capable. 800 lumens, 15,000 Candela, a really awesome concealable weapon light. We also make XSCs for the micro compact pistols that are so popular today, like 365s, Hellcats, Glock 43s, stuff like that. We make even smaller lights for those. But generally speaking, if it's a home defense gun, the X300 you can't go wrong with. Really good switching, outstanding performance. We make multiple beam patterns in that, just like with the Scout lights. We make a turbo series that's narrow. The standard Ultra is a hybrid beam. And we also do vampires for night vision use as well.
And another thing about the X300, why I have them on so many of my guns, is because it's been so popular and kind of been the go-to for so long, especially for like duty grade holsters, is there's just so much support for this light now. It seems like every Safariland holster will work with an X300. Basically any aftermarket holster company is making holsters for this light compared to a lot of the other ones. And it's really cool if you are running like a suppressed handgun because a lot of the holsters are set up to index right on the light. So no matter what silencer you're using, sometimes that can be tough to find holsters for. But if you have a holster that's just indexing here on the light, you can put a compensator, a suppressor, whatever sort of attachments you want on your pistol, and you'll still be able to find a holster that's going to work for it and have really good retention.
We've intentionally not changed the outer dimensions of it for that reason, because so many gigantic units and agencies have adopted these and have entire support systems built around them. We didn't want to mess that up. So when we update the LEDs and update the outputs of these, we've for the last several years make sure to not change the outside dimensions.
That's so awesome. So the lights are getting better over time, but you're not having to rebuy all this sort of peripheral gear.
Exactly, yep.
I already have a light on my cell phone, so why am I going to carry a flashlight?
The cell phone light is great, super convenient for low output administrative tasks. However, there's many different reasons to carry a high quality flashlight every day. And by the way, just like with the rest of these, we have bigger lights that are meant to be carried in pouches or for your glove box or for your home. And then we have like EDC oriented lights that have pocket clips built into them, and they're a little bit more preferable to carrying on a daily basis. That said, there's a gray area in between where you think something might be going wrong, but probably not the time to pull out a pistol just yet. And that's a great spot for a high output handheld light, whether it's just seeing into a dark alleyway or you're not sure of someone that's approaching you. You can shine a light at them, you might make them mad, but that might de-escalate, that might avoid any further problems. And so, and also on an administrative level, whether it's fixing a car, fixing a flat tire, the cell phone light's not super bright. You know what I mean? Most of these lights have multiple outputs that are 5 times as bright as a cell phone light.
I appreciate a nicer handheld light just because, not even defensive scenarios, but it's like I'm walking my dog at night and I want to be able to see down like a dark path, so there's no surprises, nothing weird going on. And with your like little iPhone light, that's just not it's not happening.
It's one of those things where until you start carrying one on a regular basis, you don't realize how often you'll use
Exactly.
it. And it's like, it's amazing how much convenience there is and how many uses there are for having a good handheld light on a daily basis. That specific one in your hands has been one of our most popular EDC lights. That's our brand new Stiletto Pro 2. We have 2 other models, the standard Stiletto and the Stiletto Pro. Most lights, the form factor is built around a round battery, which is why they're round, but they don't sit in the pocket as nice. So that's a custom built lithium pack, makes it super comfortable. You don't even know you have it. And when you don't know you have it, you're more likely to carry it every day and have it when you need it. 1,500 lumens, 35,000 Candela, and it's USB-C rechargeable, so if you're using it every day, you just recharge it at night.
When people are looking at these lights and they're looking at those Lumen and Candela ratings, sort of what that means or what ranges you might want or what the difference in between Lumen and Candela is.
Yeah, so this is getting super into the weeds, but the boiled down summary of what it is lumens is overall brightness. Candela is a measurement that's gonna tell you how far the light's gonna go. These Turbo Series Scout lights, 650 lumens, but 100,000 Candela.
Wow.
Compare that to this guy, which is 1,000 lumens, but it's only about 12,000 Candela. So this goes 10 times as far, distance-wise, but it's not as bright lumens-wise.
Technically less light, but it's stretching out way further.
Everyone's grown up with that clunky baton-style flashlight that seems to always stop working in the worst time. How does Surefire's durability kind of stand up to that? Because obviously we want something that can survive a drop test, or like this setup right here is right next to a suppressor that's going to be getting hot.
That's what we founded the company on, is building like bomb-proof products. You know, we pride ourselves on durability and reliability above all else. Performance is definitely next in line, but the foundation is durability, reliability. We machine everything in-house here in the US. We do our own circuit boards. We don't build to a price point, but we build to a quality point. They're also covered from a lifetime warranty, which is, again, just goes to the tune that we don't expect any problems, and most people don't have any problems.
We're shooting suppressed a lot. All of our hosts that we shoot most of the time are running with cans, and over time those cans they just get hot if you're shooting a bunch of 5.56 or whatever centerfire supersonic ammo. These cans heat up to a few hundred degrees. And I know I've used some lesser quality lights where you start to have problems when that 500-degree can is sitting so close to your light, like to the point where we've melted some of these bezels that aren't using like high quality glass or using like those polymers or plastics or whatever it is, and that light starts to fail. But since we've used Surefire turbos and the Pro Series and Scouts, I mean, we've put hundreds of thousands of rounds down silencers.
If not more.
Yeah, more than most people, and we've never had one of these fail. And what's cool about some of the Surefire lights is that they can use different types of batteries. So why would I want to use like CR123s versus a rechargeable or a dual fuel light that can use a little bit of both?
And we have several dual fuel, both Scout lights as well as handheld lights, and those usually use either two 123s, which are what most of our lights run off of, the lithium 123s, or an 18650. The mini versions are an 18350, so it's like two 123s or this, or one 123 or this. Generally speaking, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're using your light on a daily basis, like law enforcement guys or whoever it might be, the rechargeables are almost a necessity for them, right? Or else they'd be burning through batteries on a consistent basis. The lithium 123s are really nice because they have a very wide temperature operating range. So like for me, the lights in my trucks are G2Xs with 123s in them because they're gonna perform for a long period of time. 123s also have a 10-year shelf life, so you don't have to worry about storing them and coming back and it doesn't have a charge left. It will have a charge. So it just depends on what your application. If you're using them on a regular basis, rechargeable is definitely the way. If you want to be able to store it or have a better overall performance, the 123s are great.
So obviously Surefire makes a bunch of lights and they're all super high quality, and we're happy to carry them here at Silencer Shop. My key takeaway was how important a weapon light really is.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can't stress that enough, is if you look at your firearm as a potential defensive tool, whether it's home defense, CCW, whatever it may be, you need to be able to positively ID whatever you might shoot. So the weapon light is absolutely the best way to do that, and we strongly recommend that you have one and train with how to use it.
It's like not having an optic on your gun. It's like you need to be able to know what you're aiming at before you take that shot, and a weapon light's going to enable you to do that when the lights go down.
Whatever your setup is, we have a lit any of options on the site. Oh, that's good. That's good. We're leaving it in.
If you have any questions or comments about any of these Surefire lights or how to set up any of your firearms with a flashlight, please go ahead and leave us a comment below. We want to thank Andrew and Surefire one more time for coming out and helping us learn a little bit about each of these and how to set up our guns a little bit better. Make sure you check out Surefire's YouTube channel for more information on the specifics about all of these lights. and make sure you subscribe to our channel and subscribe to the newsletter where you can get the latest in all the suppressor and accessory news, deals, and info. Thank you guys so much for watching.